Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's just expose again those claim Christian apologists who wants to distort everything. What is the true teaching of Islam? Those people who are planting hatreds in the hearts of mostly ignorant Christians to commit such hate crimes against Muslims. And this is because of these people that you're gonna see, like Mr. David Wood, the Coco Wood, the big fat liar. Let us watch first what is another lies and lies of this, I don't know what to call this man.
Example are we going to use today from the life of the Prophet?
One word, jihad.
Oh boy.
Right? Still, no matter how many times terrorist attack, shouting Allahu Akbar, no matter how many times as the younger generation of Muslims in places like Iraq becoming disillusioned with religion. One of the most common reasons is they've grown up in an environment where they've seen the violence that this causes.
Oh, Mr. Coco Wood, one word, you are a big fat liar. Seems you forgot what happened in the Middle East, mostly in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and the rest of the Islamic world. It will be never like that without the cold-blooded Western people under the banner of your so-called democracy instituted by your mostly evangelical Christians who are being paranoid to propagate the cultic, cold-blooded religion. It's always being happen that you are imposing to the world the so-called crusaders force religion, invade the world by the swords. It is written in your cultic book. That's why the real truth, you're just trying to deny or playing being an ignorant, but you know the truth, why it's happening in the Middle East. Without your delusional, your paranoid people who wants to intervene everywhere to impose your democratic freedom of cultic religion. Watch and learn again if you forgot.
Listen to this, because this is very fucking wild.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you gotta come in. You gotta come in and talk to me a second." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." I said, "We're going to war with Iraq? Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, "I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
It's like insane that this was just said. How do they not talk about that every day?
Spokesman says its founder, Glenn Bindon, a devout Christian, began the practice years ago, and it has continued since Bindon's death in 2003. An enthusiast and military websites, the presence of the New Testament references seem well known. As this gun reviewer pointed out, the passage from the book of John.
I love it. I love it. Yes, Trigicon, those guys are Christians, and they're just in all of their different sites they have verses on there. So just a little neat side note. For those of you who aren't Christians, well, whatever, get over it. All right.
From one of our clients indicating that the rifle was referred to as the spiritually transformed firearm of Jesus Christ.
Even with the general order against religious proselytizing, the biblical references on the rifle sites is only the latest example of a clash in the U.S. military over Christian symbols and preaching in Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 years ago in Afghanistan, American documentary filmmaker Brian Hughes saw boxes of New Testament Bibles published in Afghan languages.
It was clear that those Bibles were there for the purpose of being distributed to the Afghan people, not to other soldiers, not to other people on the base, but to Afghan civilians. So it was clear that they were prepared to operate outside the boundaries of General Order Number 1.
Filmmaker Hughes recorded U.S. Army Chaplain Gary Hensley in a provocative sermon at Bagram Air Base.
You know, the special forces guys, they hunt men, basically. We do the same thing as Christians. We hunt people for Jesus. We do. We hunt as Christians. We hunt people for Jesus. We do. We hunt as Christians. We hunt people for Jesus. We do. We hunt them down. Get the hound of heaven after them. So we get them in the kingdom. Right? That's what we do. That's our business.
Now the
right? That's what we do. That's our business.
Now the
right? That's what we do. That's our business.
Now the tiny biblical codes on the U.S. military rifle sights used by the Army and the Marines.
It is very clear why those so-called evangelical Christians that ruling the most political figure in the Western society, they have those like the so-called Islamophobes, that they are really, they are become paranoid that there's a war between good and evil, and they are the good and the evil is the Muslim and Islam. So, but the truth is, every ruler of those cultic religion, the Christianity, they are about to swear upon winning the election to the Bible, just representing that whatever they do, whatever they will do, they are being guided by the Holy Spirit of the so-called barbaric Jesus Christ, based from their cultic religion. Because it is written in the book, let us read in Romans 13, verse 4. This is pertaining to the ruler or the leader of the world being administered or being anointed or whatsoever, being directed by their God, the Holy Spirit, to do such lies and crimes against humanity. It says here, for he is the minister of God for you for good. Means whatever they do, this is based from the presence of their Lord. That's why they have the so-called holy cow. But if you do which is evil, the question is, what is evil? Who commit evil? Then continues to be afraid, for he bear not the sword in vain. So this is not Quran. Swords means to kill. This is very basic. For he is the minister of God. Who is the minister of God? Those leaders who swear in the Bible just to rule the world and to do such heinous crime, those genocidal acts. And let us continue. A revenger to execute wrath upon him that do evil. So this is the very saddest truth. That's why, those blinded people, those like David Wood and the rest is alike, the many likes of David Wood, they are very ignorant by historical evidence that Christianity is spread through the swords, means by blood. Ever since the Dark Age, the Crusaders, and same history repeat itself. The one we presented to you is a very clear, a religious war against the so-called evil according to their lunatic mind. So let us see how they respect the Bible, those leaders, those ministers of God.
When President Biden swore his oath of office today, he did so with one hand on the Bible. Now, it's become a presidential tradition, but each president gets to choose which Bible. Historian Ron Fox says President George Washington first set the tradition. Our previous two presidents swore their oath on the Lincoln Bible, but President Biden today using his family's Bible, a much thicker version and one he's used for every swearing-in ceremony of his career, he says. Fox says that the Bible has become a staple of the ceremony with our country's peaceful transfer of power.
It's a momentous event, and it's a momentous time. It's a time of change. It's a time of renewal. It's a time where people's hopes and dreams are realized when they run for office, and hopefully the nation shares those.
In 1965, it became customary for the wife or spouse of the president and vice president to hold the Bible during the swearing-in.